My name is Nancy Gupta. Today we will discuss first chapter of class 9th, that is matter in our surroundings. So let's get started. What is matter? Matter is something which has mass and occupies space. Right now I am sitting on the bed. So do I have mass? Yes. Do I occupy space? Yes. So that means even I am matter. So matter is something which has mass and occupies space. Now let us do one very interesting activity. And how to go about it? On dissolving potassium permanganate in water, and if you will dilute it in glass of water, what you will observe? You will see very beautiful color inside water. That is solution of potassium permanganate. Now, what you will do? You will take a portion of that potassium permanganate solution into another glass of water. You will observe the color has changed from deeper to less deeper ones. Right? But you still observe a colorful solution. This shows there must be millions of tiny particles in just one crystal of potassium permanganate, which keeps on dividing themselves into smaller and smaller particles. So that means particles are very small in size. Composition of matter. Matter is made up of particles. How do you know that? You can know that by doing this another activity. When we dissolve salt in water, the particles of salt get into spaces between the particles of water. How do you do that? First, take a glass of water. Put some salt in that glass of water. Without stirring, you will observe the salt particles are disappearing. Are they disappearing? No, they are not disappearing. They are trying to get into spaces between particles of water. Hence, we can conclude that matter is made up of particles. Characteristics of particles of matter. We have seen that particles of salt or potassium permanganate get evenly distributed in water. This shows that there is a lot of space between the particles of water, which accommodates the particles of salt or potassium permanganate. So this is the characteristic of particles of matter, that when you dissolve salt or potassium permanganate, it automatically tries to adjust in the spaces of water. So this shows particles of matter have space between them. Now let us do another activity. What is that activity all about? On putting a drop of colored ink in a glass of water, we see that color spreads throughout the water. This shows the particles of water as well as the ink are always moving. Now you must have done this activity in your daily life also. If you take a glass of water and if you put few drops of, say, you can take Neil. You must have seen your mother uses it, right? So when you put few droplets of ink in that glass of water or a bucket of water, you will see on putting a drop of colored ink in a glass of water, we see that the color spreads throughout the water. This shows the particles of water as well as the ink are always moving. So this intermixing of particles of matter on their own is called diffusion. Particles of matter are continuously moving. With rise in temperature, the movement of particles increases, right? As you increase the temperature, the particle starts moving faster, 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 right? So that is because of rise in temperature. Energy possessed by particles due to its motion is called kinetic energy. You must have observed, you must have seen also in your sports day activity that when the sportsman, when the athlete tries to do the long jump, he first, what he does, he first take a short run, right? And then he takes a long jump or high jump, right? So for what purpose he does that? He does that to acquire some amount of energy. Energy possessed by the object, by that person, due to its motion is called kinetic energy. He will acquire more amount of energy because of its previous amount of run. Kinetic energy of particles increases with increase in temperature. So this is very obvious. You must have seen particles moving faster at higher temperature rather than at lower temperature. This is very obvious. Like you must have seen, have you ever smelled food with lesser temperature or more temperature? Obviously, the food which is on the flame, that will give more aroma rather than the food which is on not on the flame, right? So kinetic energy of particles increases with increase in temperature. Basis of classification of matter. Now, how is matter classified? Based on particles arrangement, based upon energy of particles, based upon distance between particles. It could be classified into three categories: solid, liquid, gas. Let us discuss each one of them one by one. Matter is classified into three. Number one, solid. Number two, liquid. Number three, gas. Matter: solid, liquid, gas. As we know, matter is something which occupies space and has mass. Solid. Solid has fixed shape, has definite volume. Like a book. Book is having a fixed shape and has definite volume. So it comes in the category of solid. Liquid. Liquid has no fixed shape. Like a glass of water. If you will transfer that glass of water into another vessel, into another flask, into another container, that glass of water, when transferred, takes the shape of another container. So that means liquid has no fixed shape. It has definite volume. Yes, it has definite volume. In spite of being transferred, the volume is still the same. So that means liquid has no fixed shape but has definite volume. Now what about gas? Let's think. Oh, gas. Gas has no fixed shape and no definite volume. That means if you will transfer from one container to another container, the volume changes depending upon the size of the container. So that is not size dependent, right? Now let's move to each one of them in detail one by one. Solid state. Solids are rigid. If you will compress your book, will it be easily compressed? No. Solids are incompressible. You cannot easily compress it. But if there is an exception, if you will compress a sponge, it can be easily compressed, but once you release it, it comes back to its original state. So that means solids are incompressible. There is an exception: sponge. but still sponge comes in solid state. Hence, solids have a definite shape and definite volume. We have seen that solids can be broken or deformed by application of force. So for that, you can say an easy example is a chalk. Chalk is something which you can easily break it using your hands, right? So that means solids can be broken or deformed by application of force. We have also seen through some matter can be poured, but still they are solids. Like example, salt. Salt, in spite of being solids, still it can be poured. So this is an exception. Solids either do not diffuse or diffuses very slowly. Solids have more density. Now what is this density? Density means mass per unit volume. Let us think. What do you want to think now? Rubber band changes its shape. Is it solid? Yes, although it changes its shape and it is not the property of solid, that in solid we have studied that solids have a definite shape and definite volume. But how come rubber band can be classified in the category of solid? It is because once you stretch the rubber band, it changes its shape. So now comes the question, is it still a solid? Yes, because once you release the rubber band, it comes back to its original state. So that's why rubber band, since when released, comes back to its original state, it is a solid. Sponge can be compressed. Is it solid? Yes. Again the same answer. Once you release the sponge, it comes back to its original state. It was compressed, yes, it changed its state. But once you release it, you stop compressing it, it comes back to its original state quickly. Arrange the following increasing order of force of attraction between their particles: air, sugar, oil, juice, wind, salt. Which is denser, 1 kg cotton or 1 kg sand? Think before you answer. Please give your answer in the comment box. I will be waiting for your answers. The liquid state. Liquids are not rigid and can flow. Hence are fluids. So liquids rigid तो नहीं होते, but they can flow. Liquids are almost incompressible. It means you can not compress it. Incompressible means you can not compress it. आप उसको दबाओगे वो मुट्ठी से निकल जाएगा. So that means it's incompressible. Okay. Hence, liquids do not have a definite shape but have a fixed volume. Solids, liquids and gases can diffuse in liquid. Rate of diffusion is more in liquids as compared to solids. So, diffusion means movement. The movement is related with diffusion. So, rate of diffusion is more in liquids as compared to solids. And of course, when you will heat liquid, the rate of diffusion increases. So, the rise in temperature, rate of diffusion will be greater. But if you are talking about solids, rate of diffusion is less. Particles in liquids have more space between themselves as compared to solids. The gaseous state. Now, what is this gaseous state? Gases. Gases have a tendency to flow. Hence, gases are also called fluids. So that means liquids are also fluids. Gases are also fluids. Gases are highly compressible. Highly. And can be bottled like LPG, that is liquefied petroleum gas, and CNG, compressed natural gas, oxygen, etc. so that you can easily compress it. उसको कितना मन चाहो दबा सकते हो, compress कर सकते हो to tightly pack it in a container. So that means solids are compressible? No. Liquids are compressible? Slightly compressible. And what about gases? They are highly compressible. Particles of gases have larger spaces between themselves. Yes, particles of gases have larger spaces between themselves. Gases diffuse very fast into other gases. If you will mix two gases, they will fastly diffuse amongst each other due to high kinetic energy of its particles. Density of gases is minimum. Gas is much lighter than solid or liquid of the same volume. So that means density of gas is minimum. That is mass per unit volume is minimum. And you are talking about solids, it's more and lesser in liquid. Here comes the summary of the topics which we have cleared in this video till now. So this will precisely summarize all the points which we have discussed till now. Shape. Shape of solid is fixed. Liquid, no fixed shape. Gas, no fixed shape again. Volume. Volume of solid, fixed. Liquid, fixed. Gas, no fixed volume. Force of attraction. Maximum in solids. Less than solids in liquids and very less in gaseous state. Interparticle space. Very less in solids. As you know, particles are very tightly packed in solids. So, of course, interparticle space will be minimum in solids, more than solids in liquids, and maximum in gases. Rigidity or fluidity. Rigidity means कितना ठोस है कोई चीज, right? So, rigid solid is more, maximum. Liquid can flow. Liquids are not rigid. And gas can flow and not rigid at all. Compressibility. Solids, incompressible. Liquids, little compressible. Gas, highly compressible. So that was all about this chapter. Bye bye. See you. Please answer your questions in the comment box. Looking forward to your answers. Take care.